another episode. We're so excited to be here today. We have a guest that we both have known since we were younger.
Kids.
Yeah.
Kids. I'm excited because I've seen her progress through the years. I've seen her go through a lot of things. She recently had something big happen for her. We are so proud. So without further ado, let's bring on Miss Alexis Vaught.
Dump in the jump. Tap when I speak, all cap with the speech till they caught up in the rapture. I'm so out of line with the phrase game. Let's take a break, been a long day. Hit your line, what you fall through with the light sticks. Maybe help me spark the ideas. We got nowhere else to go. It's only up from there. I've been on my go.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
I'm so
It's
excited to
good
be here.
See you.
You too as well. It's been forever.
I know. So for the people in the back that don't know, I feel like I've known you since I was maybe in kindergarten or first grade.
Wow.
Yeah, we've gone
Y'all go way, way back.
way back.
Wow. I thought I had some clout with you, but but I will settle for freshman. What was I, a freshman or a sophomore when we were hooping together?
I want to say freshman.
Yeah, like we played basketball together.
So what was this Braveheart thing? Was that your name?
I think I yelled or something. I was super loud.
You were like,
surprise. No, I didn't do it. I think whatever I did, I yelled really loud, and it came time for us to like give ourselves nicknames, and I couldn't think of anything. So Alexis was like, "You should just be Braveheart."
Man,
And
you were a warrior too.
Okay, you gotta let him know.
Hey.
She was always out there ready for war.
Listen, I probably could not make it up and back on a court right now, but we're not talking about that. One day.
Same.
We all know back in the day y'all was doing y'all thing.
Yeah, for sure. Hoop dreams.
Right.
So Alexis, we are so proud of you. We actually just happened to be on Facebook one day and we were looking through and you just wrote this post and my eyes were watering because I felt the emotion and the energy coming through that post. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely could see that COVID had put you through some things. I think, everybody's gone through things, but for you to have written such a poignant post on your experience, the highs and the lows, and then also to be inspirational to those who read that was beautiful.
Yeah. So I want to start with COVID. So how was your 2020?
I mean, it was rough. I think 2020 was rough for everybody in some way, shape, or form. Like I don't think there's any way around it. Everyone's lives was upended. Like even my grandma, who's 94, she had never even been through anything really like that. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely threw a stick in my spokes for sure.
So take us through that. First of all, I want to let everyone know that Alexis is an amazing artist. The pieces that you've done have just been mind-blowing. So before we start going through 2020, how long have you been an artist? What led you to it?
I want to say probably my senior year. I quit basketball. And I just kind of stopped turning in my correspondence and decided I didn't want to play. And Christina, that was like my life. I thought I was.
As you're saying this, I remember how I felt. I was like, because everybody had graduated. All the seniors had like graduated, and it was me and Alexis holding the team down. So I was so heartbroken. I remember, girl. I'm gonna let you go on, but just know that
that hurt soul.
It hurt me deep.
Right. I'm sorry, man. I was going through a lot of stuff with my dad and just like personal family stuff too, on top of like such a huge transition in basketball. I think too, that's like when the internet really started hitting with like MySpace and stuff, and kids, like their whole mentality like towards sports and everything was just so different. So I, decided I wasn't going to play anymore. I was just over it. I was going through a lot of things. Like, as you both know, I'm gay, and I think I was trying to figure that out myself too. I knew at that point and didn't know how to tell anybody. And that was just weighing heavy on me, like being secretive and, you know, just going through that as a young adult, like not really feeling secure in myself. So art gave me an outlet at that time. I just started painting and I fell in love with it instantly. I poured everything into my art my senior year, and Miss Donay really shaped me into an artist. She was always there for me, really helpful, always encouraging. So from there, you know, I graduated, went through some pretty rough times. You know, I dealt with addiction and I was partying way too much and just kind of being wild and lost. And then I woke up one day and decided, hey, I think, you know, I'm going to go to art school. And so I applied to go to art school in San Francisco, and I went further down my rabbit hole of being wild. And then my stepdad got sick, and so I came back to be with my mom during that. And I've been here. I was here for about 3-4 years, and then I moved to Hawaii. I was working at an art gallery in Hawaii for a bit and at a restaurant, and then I came back up here because another family member had gotten sick, and I've been here ever since. And yeah, right after that one family member got sick, then my dad passed, and I was dealing with all of that. And then I finally had kind of settled most of that and decided that I wanted to do tattooing.
You touched on something, and I love that you are being so honest, because most people, they'll leave out, you know, the bad stuff, you know, the stuff that was challenging. But I like how you jump right in and you said, I've gone through some stuff. What was the hardest part in making that transition? You said that you went through addiction and then from there you went to art school. What was the hardest part in that transition?
I think just growing up, like those growing pains of just growing up and trying to find your way in this world, you know, like you go from, you know, kind of being, I was taken care of, but at the same time, like I grew up in a house, in 2 houses that had a lot of addiction in them. So for me, that just was how things, you know, went. Like, oh, you're going through some stuff, you're gonna drink about it. Like, or you're going through some stuff, like, let's party about it. Like, so for me, just growing up and not having the proper tools to get through those beginning years, you know, and even now being 33 and going through losing my dad and having to find those tools myself, like, and really heal from all of that and grow up finally, you know. Yeah, just growing up is hard for anybody, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that the bad things in life that we go through make us the strongest. I don't think there's any shame in going through things. It's, you know, if you decide to stay stuck there, then, you know.
You mentioned another thing during the senior year when you left basketball. You were kind of going back and forth with being gay and kind of settling with that. Was it telling people, or was it trying to figure out what your preference was?
I think both, you know, and too, back then it was very, you know, talk about it, like
Very taboo back then, yeah.
right. And I mean, I can remember being 19, I think, and I was at a party, I kissed a girl, and some girl from high school had let everybody know what was going on. They came up, they chased me out of the party, like, you know, yelling all these things at me and stuff, you know, like, and those are all my friends. These are people I've known my whole life that are like chasing me out of this party because I was kissing a girl, you know.
Oh my
So,
God.
you know, and that's like after high school. So, I mean, there has been so many trials and tribulations just with that. Like within, it's cool to see how everything has progressed now. You know, I'm so happy for kids now that it's not such a touchy subject, or there's all that shame tied with it.
Yeah. Well, it's so crazy to even hear that was your experience in high school, because I feel like we didn't hang all the time, but I mean, we spent some time together, you know, practices and things like that. And I just never even knew that that was what was going on.
Yeah, definitely just put it all in the basketball, you know?
Yeah. Wow. And it makes sense, I guess, when you remove, right? Because sports are such a huge outlet can be such a huge outlet for people. And then when, you know, that was no longer one of your outlets, that you then turned to art. But then also it sounds like you had this journey with like addiction and coming out of that too.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's crazy because it's so weird to think that that was my life even. Like, I feel like we all live multiple lives in one throughout our lives, you know? I look back and I'm like, "Oh, who was that girl?" You know? Everyone thought I had it so together, and, you know, I definitely didn't. I was very lost, and it's cool to look back on now and as like a pillar of strength. Like, wow, you know, I came from that and I've overcome it, especially now because I mean, I've always smoked weed, you know, since I was 12, and I, you know, drank a lot and had, you know, issues with both those things. And since being diagnosed with lupus, like I had to quit drinking coffee even, which was a huge addiction for me.
Ooh, girl.
Coffee, weed, I had to stop drinking, which I didn't drink. I haven't really drank heavily for a long time, but I still enjoy like a glass of wine or a beer, you know, here and there. And I can't have any of that. Can't have anything with flour or yeast or anything. So my diet changed. No drinking, no smoking, no coffee. I have to exercise every day. And like I look back on that person, I'm like, who is that? You know?
So I want to touch more on that. So you mentioned that you were recently diagnosed. Is it SLE?
Yeah, lupus.
So how did you know or come to find out you even had lupus? Were you experiencing any kind of weird symptoms? What happened?
So, so for about a year and a half, uh, all throughout my tattoo apprenticeship and a little bit even kind of before, I want to say in 2018, I was cleaning up my dad's property in Gustavus, and we had been burning some things outside, and I came back in and my face was just like on fire. It felt like it was going to spontaneously like combust. Like it was horrible. And I was just like, I called Shavana. I was like, I have to show you this. Like, this is so weird. I've, you know, never had this happen before. And I don't know if it's because we were out here burning some stuff or, you know, whatever it was. And she's like, yeah, that is weird. So I want to say I had my first flush, and that's like one of the symptoms of lupus is you flush really bad, in 2018. So it kind of mellowed out a little bit after that. And then right around, right before COVID, I want to say like November, December, January, I was flushing really bad again. And I was having fevers every day of like 100, 101 for like, you know, a whole year. I basically had a fever, really achy. My weight was fluctuating really bad. I was losing hair up in here, and just a lot of different things were happening. And, you know, I was just trying to power through my apprenticeship because it's 1,000 hours, you know, unpaid. And I was like, I just got to get through this, just got to get through it, just got to get through it. And Shavana finally was just like, you need to go to the doctors.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I was really struggling for a good year and a half or so. Just like constant fever. I thought I had COVID a couple of times because the symptoms kind of mirror each other pretty intensely, especially with like my heart. I kind of felt like I was going to have a heart attack or a stroke for months, like on months, like my heart was just hurting. But come to find out, I get like inflammation in my sternum really bad, and like my heart gets inflamed, and yeah.
So
It's pretty crazy.
Scary.
why didn't you go to the doctor sooner than you did? That is a question I'm asking very intentionally because I feel like as women, you know, who power through things and, you know, we often put other things in front of ourselves and our health and what's good for us. So speak a little bit about like that, why the doctor wasn't around sooner.
I think that, well, one, I was working for so long, not getting paid. So that, to me, I don't have insurance. So for me, I'd worked so hard to get everything that I'd gotten, and I didn't want to just like throw it all into, which is so silly to say out loud, I'm like,
Yeah, you're
oh,
so
your health is
passionate.
number one. You're right.
Yeah.
I feel like too, I was never really raised to go to the doctors. Like one time, like for example, my dad, Amber broke my nose when we were in like 5th grade. She ran into me, like completely broke my nose, right?
Busted her out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were playing as kids. Like this is just all facts, She didn't mean to. We were coming around two like opposite ends
like,
of the church.
Let me clarify that.
Let me elaborate.
Like
she didn't like punch me or nothing. No. Like we were definitely like running around the church playing a game, and she came around the wrong side. She's so much shorter than me. Her head hit me, broke my nose. I went home, and my dad was just like, all right, so we can go to the hospital and they can break your nose, or like I can re-break your nose for you, and it'll hurt a lot less, like stuff like that. Like I was never raised really to go to the doctor that much. Like every once in a while, when it was very necessary. But so I think that was always in bed, and I was like, I'm fine. I just have a fever. Like I'm all right, I think I was just really trying to power through everything, and I'd been powering through so much the years before that it was just like another thing to go through.
Yeah. So what are the symptoms of lupus?
There's a lot of symptoms.
Like how does it affect you? I guess I should reframe it. How does the lupus affect you specifically now?
Since I've changed my diet and I started exercising and I cut out coffee, I cut out alcohol, I cut out smoking, like it's changed dramatically. I will say that. I'm not flushing as much, so I flush frequently, but it's not as bad as it was. Like there's been some times where like I literally felt like my face was gonna catch fire. But headaches, inflammation, I still get like my heart still races and sometimes kind of skips beats, and I get really bad inflammation in my sternum, like I was saying, in my shoulders, sometimes in my hands, ankles for sure, because I've broken one of my ankles a couple of times. I get really bad headaches from time to time, like almost, to the point where I should be going to the emergency room and stuff, because your brain can get inflamed. And I've lost some hair. You can't tell, but I've definitely lost some hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I put on a lot of weight for a while, and then I dropped it really drastically. Like I was like 179, and then I was probably down to like 140. Like I dropped like 30 pounds. And that's when, I started figuring out like it's probably time. Like my headaches were getting worse. I was dropping weight consistently. Hair was falling out. Like I wasn't sleeping good. My heart was the biggest thing for me. And then I'd been like looking online at flushing, and because that was happening to me every day. I was going to work, and it happens with like sensitivity to lights, different kinds of lights, fluorescent lights and stuff, with lupus. But when I was looking online, of course, it's like cancer. I'm like, no. So I finally was just like, I need to go get checked.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful though.
So much.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that I went in and I got tested and it came back immediately. Some people have lupus and they go through so many rounds of trying to figure out what they have before they actually figure it out. So I'm thankful I had a doctor that was listening to me and really attentive and caring, and wanted to go a more natural route with it versus like just dumping a bunch of medication on me. So it definitely helped,
Yeah. And what I most admire about you, Alexis, is even though you were sick, you had like this goal in your mind of something that you're going to accomplish, and you're going to go to this internship, even if it's not paid. And recently you had a huge accomplishment. I remember reading Facebook and I'm like, oh my God! So tell everybody what I am talking about.
So I recently just got licensed to be a tattoo artist in Alaska, which Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment. I was the first one in my shop to go through a 1,000-hour apprenticeship. They just had switched the hours over right before I had started. So before it was only 390 hours, and then they switched it over and it was 1,000 hours. And that is no small feat, let me tell you. And I was driving 100 miles round trip every day to go, to work. So I ended up driving like 24,000 miles, 1,000 hours. I knocked out my 1,000 hours pretty fast too.
How long did it
Yeah.
take you?
I want to say about 9 months, and then I just continually kept going, but then the pandemic hit, and I was getting sicker and sicker. And for people with autoimmune stuff going on, it was a fine line, of trying to stay healthy and then stay at my job and trying to figure everything out. My job, my coworkers and my boss have just been so understanding with what's going on, and I'm very grateful for that. Like, I was given a couple months off to really just, quit coffee, change my diet, start exercising, quit smoking, like all of this at once. It'll be 3 months on the 17th.
Wow.
So yeah,
Girl.
it's been a
So how
lot.
is it now tattooing? So what makes tattooing obviously on skin from doing what you started doing, which was doing your artistry on paper?
Oh man, it is so different. My
Mhm.
first time on skin was it just blew my mind. It's such a different connection because it's not something you see with your eyes, it's something you feel.
Mm.
There's a certain vibration when you're in the skin, when you're at the perfect depth, that you just have to feel and stay consistent. It's so much coordination between your mind and your hands and your foot, because you have to I have a foot pedal with my machines. So there's so many different factors to it. It's very challenging, and everyone's different as well with their skin and how it reacts. And I've had a couple people come in and they didn't tell me they were having drinks and stuff before. They had like a drink, and that just changes the game completely because you start bleeding like a ton and you can't see anything, and it's a lot more stressful. But
Oh my
I
gosh.
Lord.
Wait, so let
yeah.
me stop you right there. So right now we're doing our show out of Las Vegas, and you guys know what goes down in Vegas. So to everybody watching in Las Vegas and you're getting a tattoo on the strip, Alexis just said now, don't go doing all that drinking. Could be bleeding out, carrying on in the shop, and they don't got time.
Man, it's
That's
so
what you
crazy.
said.
Like, I literally put the needle in and I was like, what is happening?
Oh
This is
my
like,
gosh. Listen, she's
but
just
I mean,
convinced me. I have no tattoos.
Wimp.
I'm not going. After that story,
oh
I'm not going.
no, tattoos are amazing. Like, I hate needles. I don't like getting shots. I don't like any of that. I don't like getting my blood drawn, none of that. But tattoos are therapeutic. Like, there's something different about a needle hitting your skin, you're getting art, and you're connecting with somebody. It's a different connection. Like, it's very therapeutic. Like, I wouldn't be scared of getting a tattoo. Just don't drink and go get a tattoo. You want to make sure you're eating good, you're staying hydrated, you're getting enough rest. Like, it's just a whole process. But if you do it the right way, it's a spiritual experience for sure.
Yeah.
Oh
Don't be
my
scared. Come on, Braveheart. Come on,
She's
Braveheart.
such a wimp.
I'm not there. I am not there, and I am not
Yeah.
ashamed to say it.
She's not
Whatever.
there.
Maybe one
Come
day.
to
We'll see.
Alaska, man. Come get a tattoo. I'll give you a
Let
tattoo.
Alexis
Come on.
hook you up.
Okay, if I'm ever back in Alaska and I'm feeling a little courageous, I will give you a call.
All right, Braveheart. We're gonna do this.
And don't worry, we're not gonna go up there. I said weeks. I'm trying to slide in.
Yeah.
We're not gonna ask for the homie hookup. I can only imagine. Have you had some of your friends and family try to get the hookup, whether it be your art? I know you have Twig. Just can you get this for me a discount or for free? Does that happen to you?
I mean, yeah, I've given out so much stuff for free, just to like promote and keep things moving. you know, there's people that can't afford stuff and that are my friends that I've definitely hooked up and never asked, you know, for the money, you know, like just, yeah, of course. I think that's part of the game, you know, and two, when you're first starting, that's part of it all too. You just got to build on it
Yeah.
until you know what's worth charging, you know, like it's it's been I've been very um grateful to have the art career that I've had because, you know, there's people that go through and they don't sell anything, you know, and I think that I reached certain points and, you know, it's just you got to give back at some point. I've definitely had horrible experiences with clothing. No doubt, like multiple times. Every run of clothing that I've ever done, I don't think maybe one time it's gone smooth.
Well, what happened? Why is it so rough doing like the clothing?
I just think screen printers are extremely difficult to work with for the most part. Nomadic Stars in Fairbanks is the only like smooth transaction I've had at all. So shout out to Odin. He's a boss. Like he gave me exactly what I wanted. No complaints. Like, but for the most part, yeah, it's been a struggle with screen printers. And then, you know, yeah, I've definitely had issues just with artwork, a ton of artwork.
Snafus.
Yeah, art is.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, tell us more about that because when I look at your pieces, I've seen them on Facebook, Instagram, and a couple other places actually. And you see this beautiful piece of art, but no one really knows the story behind it. So, what inspires you to put it from here to the paper?
I think mostly, you know, what's going on in life, and especially with me, I think that art has always been very therapeutic um, in a lot of different ways. You know, after I lost my dad, I did those tree drawings for like, I don't know, probably like 2.5 years about. And like each one of those, like, I don't know, I probably put over a month and a half of work, 8 hours a day into those like tiny little detailed drawings. But for me, it was more of like a meditation, getting through things that I was going through. And um, they're all done in just like black ink. There's no shading, none of that. And like as I started like researching and healing and like going through things, trying to understand what I was doing, like I read somewhere that when you're going through traumatic events, that people don't really see in gray tones. It's just in black and white, and that's a response to trauma. Uh, you know, so as I go through these things and I make this art, it's cool to look back on it and like really go through it on on a psychological level and like research and be like, whoa, that's powerful, you know. But it all comes from the heart, you know. It really comes from the heart and what I'm going through in life.
Wow, that's so beautiful to know. I also want to know, and if you can talk a little bit about it, what have been some of the bumps and the snafus that have come along with your art career?
Ooh. This is a delicate dance around.
We'll be respectful as we can.
Yeah. I've lost a lot of friendships. People trying to take advantage of me and my kindness, you know. I've done a lot of work that people just ran with, you know, and never had any plan on like compensating me or including me at all. Um, and I think that's been the hardest, you know, like especially like spending multiple hours out of my life and days, weeks, months, whatever, and not being compensated or, you know, valued enough to be included in my own processes, you know. That's really been tough for sure. I had an issue with sending free hoodies out to a friend, and you know, those designs getting ripped off and used for merch on like one of the biggest R&B albums of the year of 2020, you know, and that was, you know, a big shocker. And that really, I haven't put anything out since then. You know, I have like a lot of designs that I just still haven't even put out there because it's just like, what's the point? And two, as an artist, you know, we all hear that saying, you know, there's nothing new under the sun, which is very fair. You know, there really isn't. Everything's been done before, but it's how you do it and how you go about it. And so, you know, it's just a tricky thing being an artist.
Mhm. Can you
Very,
talk?
go ahead.
Sorry. No,
My
I was
bad.
just going to ask if you could talk a little bit about the I guess road to forgiveness on something like that situation, where you have poured so much of yourself into, you know, your own design, and then to have something like that happen, where something that was yours that you created was snatched away from you. And how what does that road look like for you?
Bumpy. I ain't gonna lie, man. I've definitely had to grow a lot as a woman, you know, and realize that forgiveness isn't always about the other person, but it's more so for myself, just to let go and to keep moving forward, because you stay stuck in those ruts and those holes, and they consume you, you know, you get swallowed up. And it's everybody else's loss is how I look at it, because after you do something like that, like, you don't have access anymore. You're not going to get the same me again. And you know, I know who I am, and I know I have a good heart, and I come from the best place I possibly can with everything that I do, genuinely and passionately, you know. So I just try to always, you know, that's your loss, you can have that one, but you know, now you can't tap into that creativity again.
That is so
And
good.
it's so profound too.
Yes.
And you didn't, you know, beat nobody down. You was like, it's bumpy, but
Yeah.
just so zen. Like, I love your energy. It's just so.
Yeah, just
It's taken a lot of time to get here.
I'm just like, I am impressed. Like, you just.
yes, Alexis, for the vulnerability and transparency.
Okay.
Yes,
I love it.
it's not an easy road.
Christina, you know how I used to be, man. I was a little firecracker. You know,
I do remember. I do. Yeah.
I feel like I was the rowdiest in basketball.
Yeah, I probably learned a little bit of my rowdiness from you. Hasn't gone anywhere, honestly. Just maybe trying to mellow it out a little bit, but
don't you mellow out for nobody. Never.
Don't do it.
Yeah, even she said don't do it. It's one of the things I love about her. She's just spicy, a little spicy habanero.
Yep. Hey, man, some things never change.
Well, okay. So there's another thing that you said about trauma.
Yeah.
When you were talking about not seeing that when people go through trauma, they don't see it in gray tones, they see black or white. Is that literally or figuratively?
You know, I'd have to look into that, but I think that more figuratively, but at the same time could be literally, because, you know, I'm very much so, when I'm making art and stuff, I'm working through all the tonal, you know. So
Yeah.
I think too, I was going through so much after losing my dad that I just couldn't see anything besides, you know, black or white. Like, there was no gray town. This is what I have to do. This is what I'm going through. There was no in between. And, you know, on top of like losing my dad, I lost numerous friendships that I'd had for, you know, years, that I thought were always going to be a part of my life, that were very important to me. And also, you know, so it's like mourning my dad, you know, and that was a very traumatic thing, because, you know, he had a very eccentric life, and there was so much more going on than just him passing. And then to lose, you know, multiple people who I thought were always going to be in my life as friends, like regardless. Like, I like to leave things on good notes, and always be able to reopen doors, you know. And sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, you know, and to have to go through that on top of losing my dad was so much,
Yeah.
you know. So it taught me a lot about healing and having to dig deep because I wasn't given a lot of tools as a kid to really figure out and go through those things. You know, my mom is such a gentle, kind soul. And she, you know, I feel like a lot of my heart, you know, comes from both her and my dad, you know, but actually healing and going through things and really putting in the work to heal is a real big journey.
So as you've gone through all of these things, there's one person that I have consistently seen like by your side. Shavana, your partner. How long have you guys been together?
We've been together since January 2018, January 1st.
And is she an artist too, or does she
So
just
3 years.
support the cause?
She supports the cause. I mean, she's an artist in her own right. She does her hair and she's amazing at that. She's super talented. She cooks. I mean, yeah, she's really creative in her own right. She inspires me every day. Like, that's my best friend. I mean, I don't know who I'd be right now if it wasn't for her. Like, she really made me grow up and like have to heal and become a woman like fully, you know.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Shout out to Shavana. Shout out.
Right.
And I want to know, well, we want to know, and I'm sure our viewers want to know, what is the best way that we can support our local artists?
I think by sharing, I mean, I think sharing people's art, I try to do that as much as I possibly can. Like, you're never going to see me not sharing people's artwork out of, you know, with competition or any of that. Like, I'm constantly sharing other people's stuff all the time. Just, you know, commenting, liking their things, sharing it. You know, I don't think a lot of artists get the shine that they deserve because there needs to be a bigger community that's doing that. And that's kind of what Twig was all about, is together we inspire greatness, is building that community where people can share their inspiration and share art, you know. So we're always stronger together, you know, and I think that every little bit helps. It doesn't have to be just money or, you know, any of that. Like, just sharing and really genuinely supporting and caring about artists, because art makes the world go round. It's everywhere. It's in everything, you know.
It is. Well, tell us more about, you mentioned Twig. Tell us more about Twig.
So my nickname in high school was Twigatha. Jenny Miller gave that to me, and I was a little stick figure. In, I want to say 2016, 2017, right after I lost my dad, I was like starting to put stuff out again, and I was like, man, I really need to come up with a name to tie this all together. And John Kelly had randomly called me and was like, Twig, and I was like, bing! And so I started like looking up Twig and like what it meant and everything, and there's so many different literal terms for it. Like, it means like an artery or a branch, or in some, you know, cultures it means style and fashion. And so just with my art style and that, I just made an acronym for it, and I ran with it. And for me, I really just want to create a community of people that, you know, want to inspire each other and share that. And so then I transitioned it over into my tattooing, and my tattooing business license is going to be Tattoos by Twig. And I want to focus on my clients and sharing their stories and make that the forefront of what I'm doing. So just to build that up and not make it about what just me, you know, and what I'm doing, like to really focus on the people, because people come in and that's what they're doing. It's a part of their story. Like, everyone's tattoos for the most part mean something, or they're going through something. So I'm really looking forward to like building that up and sharing.
That's beautiful.
So beautiful. I enjoyed talking with you. I learned so much. I learned so many things that I just never knew. that you've experienced, and you've just blossomed. I'm so proud of you.
You're too sweet. Man, it's so nice to talk to you. Like,
I
this
was
has been way too long. Huh?
Oh.
I thought you were about to cry. I was like,
No, no.
But
Little pause there.
Oh no, I was like, But other than that, we enjoyed the conversation. Where can we find you? Where can people go and find you? Your artwork? Let us know.
So I mean, Instagram, I have a few Instagrams. Alexis Vaught Art is my personal. Twig Collective is for the clothing. And then Tattoos by Twig is my tattooing. And then on Facebook, Lex Vaught. My website is alexisvaughtart.com. And I should be updating that here pretty soon with new prints and some new clothing, sticker packs, all kinds of stuff.
Well, you better come on with the website and the merchandise. You better put some respect on your name. I love that.
Rebirth Tattoo by Vinny, and my coworkers are amazing tattoo artists too. Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can hear you. Say the place where you're tattooing at one more time.
Can you hear me? No?
Yes. Yeah.
So I tattoo at Rebirth Tattoo by Vinny in Anchorage, and my coworkers are incredible tattoo artists as well. Art by Comet is Haley, and art by Jesse Hill is Jesse, and then Rebirth Tattoo by Vinny is Vinny's. Everyone's incredible artists there. Highly encourage you to check everybody out. We got an amazing group of people there, and I'm very proud to be a part of that family.
Perfect. Absolutely. We will be sure to link their information below. Other than that, thank you so much, Lex.
There must be a really big lag.
Yeah. What about now?
No.
Now? All right. Well, thank you, girl. We'll catch you on the flip side. We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
I don't think not.
Be on a trend.